Hey guys, Joseph Baba Ifa on the channel, connecting you to your destiny once again, coming at you with a new video. Isese or Lukumi? Which one is right for me? And if you haven't had the opportunity, please go ahead and tap on that subscribe button. With the dawn of the information age, we're really getting a lot of blessings by way of information and the opportunities to be able to interact with both sides of the Ifa practice, whether it be more traditional or the Isese practice or the Afro Cuban Lukumi practice, which is seen, all over the world at this point as well. A lot of people come to me and they're like, Baba, which one do I go with? They both have so many positive aspects. Do I really have to choose, etc.? So we're going to delve into a couple of those different themes and see which one is right for you. Right? So Lukumi practice. When we talk about the word Lukumi, it's a phrase and it's been translated a bunch of different ways. Some people say it's a greeting between friends in Yoruba. Others have translated it as a phrase that was said by slaves, Yoruba slaves, when they were actually being oppressed, and it became associated with that ethnic group. Either way, it does refer to the Yoruba practice of Ifa within Cuba and the one that manifested and is really spread across, the world. What does it actually entail? I think the most important thing to know about both traditions is that they both are Ifa. They're both legitimate Ifa. There is both legitimate information in both. When we talk about Lukumi practice and how it arrived and really spread out through Cuba, it was by way of African people, obviously. There's always going to be cultural influences, the same way there's influences, of Spanish culture on Santeria or the Afro Cuban Ifa or Lukumi practice. The same way there's going to be Muslim and Christian influences on the traditional Isese practice. So that's going to come with it. The same thing that happened to Candomblé in Brazil. So you're going to get influences from both. But when we're talking about Lukumi practice, it was brought by African people. It was taught to New World practitioners by way of African people initially in Cuba. And from there, it spread out. When we're talking about the differences between both practices, there really aren't as many as most people would think. I think it's more practice than basis. And what I mean by that is, for example, we use the coconut, they use obiabata, right? Which is the kola nut, right? The nice pink four-lobed fruit-like item that's used for divination over there. At the end of the day, we're talking about the same odus that are revealed, the same questions, the same answers. The only thing that really changes is methodology. But it still is the same base practice. We just utilize sometimes different verses to be able to achieve what it is that we want to. So for example, when we throw coconut in the Afro-Cuban tradition as babalawo, we say a verse from the Odu Osheirete or Oshebile, right? Which is the famous Ochebile prayer, to be able to use the coconut or agbong as it's known to be able to divine with. And then, when we're talking about Isese practice, they might use different verses to be able to, throw obi. There's some in Oturafung. There's one in Otrupongfung. Another item that they use to divine with is the orobo. There's verses to be able to throw this in a lot of major odu, such as Eyobe. Another one you'll find is in the odu Irosunsa. That's really where you see the differences between us. It's going to be items from time to time. And the reason the Lukumi practice really had to adapt and incorporate different items or items to replace that, which are, so culturally authentic, was because, once again, we were oppressed. So, therefore, the efung rock had to become the cascarilla that everybody buys now. Or, instead of using gin, which was actually, inspired or influenced by the British occupation of Nigeria, we use rum, which was much more accessible. At the end of the day, it's still alcohol. So that's really where you're going to see the most differences. Items, verses, and, what are we basing ourselves on? I think that's it. When we're really talking about an Ifa ceremony, there's 100 ways to do it. Within the Ifa corpus. It really depends on what region you belong to or were trained in, what lineage you belong to and were trained in, and what is customary by them to be used to be able to effectuate said ceremony. For example, going right back to it, the coconut or the obiabata. That's probably the most basic difference in our practice. Another thing you'll see different is maybe the way we do our invocations, right? In Cuba, you're going to see the mojuba, right? Or the Moju Iba, which means I give homage, thanks, or I salute. And then you might see in Africa the Iba or the Ibashe, which means, homage and blessings, right? Or we give homage by way of what we're working with or to be able to receive those blessings. Will they sound different? Sure, because, we're talking about grammatical Yoruba. A lot of accents and tones disappeared over the diaspora, but the word is still the same. The emphasis on it is still the same. It might sound a little bit different, but once again, when we're talking about accents and all these different things, culturally influenced, two completely different countries, right? The most important thing, though, is results. And not every tradition is going to result the same for everyone, right? For example, I myself am an Afro Cuban, Lukumi, initiated Babalawo. I am somebody who considers my base practice to be Lukumi. The majority of my ceremonies are still very, very criollo, as we like to say. But I'd be lying if I say that I don't incorporate traditional aspects into my practice. For example, if someone comes to me and they say, I'd like to consecrate the Sange Gungung icon, we're fully capacitated and trained in a traditional practice to be able to do so. So I do believe that we do have to maintain, and I don't like the word lines, I like more of a basis when we're talking about practice, because you can incorporate traditional themes into your Afro-Cuban practice without losing the authenticity of the Afro-Cuban practice. The same way I think you could probably incorporate Afro-Cuban things or themes into traditional practice without taking away from that dogma, or that basis of practice. Do I think it should be so much of a mixture that we lose our identity? No, but I don't think we should be so separated that we're not able to incorporate things into each other's practices and benefit from them. For example, I might be in an Afro-Cuban Hand of Ifa ceremony, and I might speak a traditional Isese verse during my turn to be able to speak Ita. At the end of the day, it's Ifa, and it's about the client and helping the client. We have to do what's most efficient to be able to assist the client and give them a better understanding and result when it comes to Ifa, right? What we need to be careful with is divisive speech, politically influenced speech, heated speech, and dialogue that causes separation more than unity. Because ideally, Lord willing, one day we'll be able to get to a point within Ifa where we see eye to eye and we respect each other, and we're able to understand that even though we do things differently, we're still sons and daughters of the same spirituality. I would say that the most divisive thing that's occurring right now within Ifa, and I think is something that does need to be stated, is whether the person wants to be initiated as an Iyang Ifa or not. I would say that's the thing that's really separating, or that's causing the biggest schism between these two practices. And I think it's very important that you should know what your capabilities are within each respective tradition. So let's say you're a woman that has received her Isefa, or Hand of Ifa, and you want to take steps further and possibly become an Iyang Ifa, which is a position that's seen within the Isese practice. I think it's very important that you know what your possibilities are in each of them. So for example, in an Afro-Cuban house, this is going to be practically impossible. Yep, it's not something that's recognized, it's not something that's implemented, and it's not something that's going to be achievable, right? But if you are somebody who is set on becoming said position, Isese practice is going to be more for you, right? I will say that other dividing factors, it really depends on what your goals are. But I think the most important thing is that we recognize that both of these traditions are legitimate. Both provide results. I mean, if that was the case, if that wasn't the case, the religion would not have survived this past, 500 years in Cuba, and helping people and helping people better themselves and spiritually elevate. So both of them are legitimate, and both of them can provide you results. But it really comes down to which one is calling you more, which one makes more sense to you, and which one you feel more at home at. The most important thing is that you find respectful elders, knowledgeable elders, who can teach you and help you grow within your respective tradition, right? And maybe it comes down to something just as simple as the day color. Maybe you like the green and yellow more than the green and brown, or vice versa. It should be a little more profound than that, because the jewelry is interchangeable. Every now and again, I rock the green and brown day. It just looks wonderful. So guys, that's it. Isese or Lukumi, which one's right for me, from Joseph Baba Ifa. I hope this provided some clarity on this subject to help you decide which tradition is going to be the one that you delve more into and create as a base of practice. And ultimately, once you learn Ifa and once you delve into it and have an idea and control of how to interact with the concepts, at that point, you really start modifying Ifa to your own practice. And once again, what matters is the results, right? Based on knowledge, based on integrity, ethic, and a real desire to see the client progress. So as long as you have that, either tradition is going to provide you equal results. And the most important thing is respect and understanding that we are children of the same spirituality and we are brothers and sisters. So, you know, if you see that Isese practitioner, don't be afraid to say Aboru Aboye. If you see that Lukumi practitioner, don't be afraid to say Iboru Iboya, because it's going to be well received on both ends. Guys, we appreciate you here at Botanica Candles and More. I myself do, Joseph Baba Ifa. To schedule consultations, please visit the website, Botanica Candles and More. There's a link right below the video, or you can go ahead and call us at 407-440-2086. And to be able to schedule, nice Orisha drip shirt, rocking the Ochun today. It's always an honor and a pleasure to rep the yellow team. Go ahead and get that shirt so you can rep your Orisha in style as well. New designs coming out soon. And guys, bless you always, right? Iboru Iboya. Take care.